Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm a sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'll show you how to put together the blocks in the quilt called Winterset. Winterset was the home of Fons & Porter. If you'd like to purchase this pattern, please visit our website. We're going to be using pre-cut 10-inch squares, and then we're going to be using a background fabric, a border fabric for accent, and we can get into our sewing right away. So the 10-inch squares are going to be cut in half both directions, so we have 5-inch squares. The great part about using a set of pre-cuts like this is that you get one or two from each of the fabrics in the entire line of fabrics that go together. So all that coordination, all done for you, ready to go. So we have those 5-inch squares, and this is the block that we're trying to construct. It's very similar to an album or an autograph block. Those pieces shaped like this that were in a classic block. And we're going to put 4 of them together, 4 units, in order to create the block. So what we need to do is work on those 5-inch squares one at a time, and we need to create units that look like this. We are going to be using small squares of background fabric, and we're going to mark the back side of the fabric. Now when you have a fabric like this, it's very similar right to back. Make sure you're working in good lighting in your sewing room so that you can make sure that you're marking the back side of our fabric. Using a water-soluble pen, we're going to mark across the block at an angle, and that is going to become our sewing line. Okay, now what we need to do is place these onto our 5-inch square, and we're going to place 2 of them. I'm just going to put a pin in to kind of tag them in place so I can take them to the sewing machine and stitch. We're going to stitch here, and we're going to stitch the opposite corner over here. The reason why I put my pins in at an opposite direction of sewing is that my machine could then step over that, but usually we advise take the pin out as you get to it. But also this causes the fabric not to shift. If your pin is parallel to your sewing line, there can be a shift that occurs as you sew, so you want to be perpendicular to your sewing line. Okay, so we need to have our needle in the position in the center for sewing, and we're going to stitch just along that line as you approach the pin to take it out. And if you get both of them set up at once, since they don't have to be, they're not overlapping in any way where the stitching is at, you can do both of them really quickly. So you could set up a whole bunch of blocks like this. You are going to be doing this process 120 times for the quilt that you see behind me. There are that many pieces of units that go into the blocks. But since it's repetitive, it's very easy. You could set these all up in a stack, sit down to the sewing machine, sew a lot of them at once, and kind of monotonous after a while, but you could just roll with it and get a lot of them done, chain one after the other. Take these to the ironing board, and we're going to set the iron on there to get it warm. Then we're going to press the triangles to the outer edge of the block. If you've done it properly, it should cover the underneath layer completely. So then I can drop my iron in there and give it a nice press. You're going to be doing that through all these different colors, and you can see in this quilt it's very scrappy. These blocks appear in different places throughout the quilt, so all the blue aren't together, all the red aren't together. So you probably want to have a place where you can lay out your pieces and kind of get an idea of the color arrangement. Now that I have these pressed, I'm going to go in with the scissors, and I'm going to trim away those bottom 2 layers. The 1/4-inch seam allowance really doesn't matter at this point because the sewing has already been done. We're just taking out that extra layer, making sure you hold it back so that you don't snip into the interior of your block. And we've created blocks like this. Now we need to take 4 different color blocks. We're going to arrange these. We'll just be following the pattern here. This is like following the diagram in your pattern. And I'm going to arrange these so that the color comes all the way to the center. Now we need to leave a space because from your background fabrics, the instructions will have you cut small rectangles like this to create a row there and a row there. And the last one will go through the center like this to join the block together. Now, once you join these 2, you'll press the seam allowances, and the seam allowances need to go toward the center. That's the least resistance, so it lays nice and flat. Same here, press toward the center. Now, when you go to join these two pieces together, I'm going to lay these back on top of each other. What you're going to want to be looking for is that these seams line up. And we have in our library of information, under the Sew Easy tab, there is a Sew Easy called row alignment, and that will give you some tips on lining that up, because as you join these two rows together, if you get a big shift, you won't have that nice straight line kind of visual going through there. And if you look into the quilt itself, even stacking blocks in rows, you again have sharp intersections. So that Sew Easy for row alignment will help you do that little technique. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.